2 years after he vanished completely, he was still living in the woods behind her house, watching her, waiting. The world is a strange place. I learned that the hard way during my time working as a private investigator. I know what you're picturing, something exciting, dramatic. The truth is far less glamorous. Most of the job is sitting quietly, watching, documenting. Television exaggerates almost all of it. But there was one case I worked that I've never been able to fully shake. To protect her privacy, I'll call her Sue. I met Sue about 6 months into my freelance work. Young, confident, and building a business completely from scratch. She'd started with almost nothing, and through sheer determination, turned it into something that was actually succeeding. I respected her for that. To get her business off the ground, she'd gathered a small group of investors. One of them was a man I'll call Steve. She'd known Steve for years, from a previous job. He had this aura of wealth about him. The car, the watch, the way he carried himself like every room belonged to him. He often offered her money again and again, but she refused for a long time. She didn't want to mix friendship and finances. Eventually, though, her other funding ran dry. Steve became her last real option to keep her dream alive. She took the money, and that single decision changed everything. Almost immediately after the funds went through, Steve's behavior shifted. Calls, texts, constant, relentless, day and night. She kept records of all of it. She showed me. She was too afraid to change her number, too guilty about taking his money to involve the authorities. It got worse. Whenever she spent time with friends in public, Steve would somehow appear. One night she was having dinner with a close friend. Steve showed up uninvited, and the moment he saw them together, he attacked the man, knocked him completely unconscious in front of witnesses. Somehow, no charges were ever filed. This pattern continued for months. She felt trapped, financially indebted to a man who was clearly unstable with no clean way out. She started believing someone was watching her apartment at night. Footsteps outside her bedroom window. A red pickup truck, always parked somewhere nearby, no matter where she went. Then, one day, without warning, he disappeared completely. No more truck, no more footsteps, no more sudden appearances. Months passed, then years. Her business finally began to thrive, and she moved into a new home to start fresh. That's when guilt started creeping back in. She wanted to repay every cent Steve had given her, to close that chapter for good, free, and clear. She tried calling him. The number was dead. No social media presence anywhere. She went back to ask old coworkers if anyone had heard from him. Nobody had seen him in years. He'd vanished completely. She was ready to simply let it go. Then, in the middle of the night, a knock came at her door. She looked through the window and saw a tall, hooded figure standing outside. Something in her gut told her exactly who it was. She didn't answer. He stood there for nearly 20 minutes before finally walking away. The next day she called me. She wanted him found. Not for revenge, but to repay the debt and finally close that door for good. I started digging. I discovered Steve wasn't even his real name. I found records of him running the same routine in other towns, under different identities, flashing money, chasing the affection of vulnerable women, then disappearing. But after his last documented appearance near Sue, every single one of those aliases went completely silent. Every rental abandoned. A few nights into my investigation, the hooded figure returned. By the time I arrived, he was already gone. I searched the surrounding area but didn't push too far in case he doubled back. I told Sue I'd handle it. I staked out her home for the next several nights. At 2 a.m, he came back. I got out of my car to approach him. He saw me instantly and bolted, faster than I expected, disappearing into a dense wooded area beside her property. I checked on Sue immediately, told her to stay with family for safety, and at first light, I went back into those woods to find him. What I found there, I still struggle to describe. A small, rotting shed, tucked deep among the trees. The smell hit me before I even opened the door. The unmistakable smell of someone living in complete filth for a very long time. Empty cans and food wrappers littered the floor. But that wasn't the worst part. Sitting in the corner was a wheelchair, and in it a mannequin, its head beaten, dressed in a blonde wig, smeared with makeup. Resting in its lap was an old photograph of Steve and Sue from years earlier. He'd built a shrine to her in the woods. I called the police immediately and gave them the location. They arrived, surveyed the area quietly, and waited. Not long after, the hooded figure returned to his shed and began speaking to the mannequin as if it were real. The moment police knocked, he became violent, lunging at one of the officers. They subdued him and placed him under arrest. It was him, the same man Sue had known for years, living in the woods behind her house for who knows how long, completely unraveled. We never got real answers. Where his money actually came from, where it had all gone, how long he'd truly been out there watching her from the trees. The man they found in those woods was barely recognizable as a person anymore. I think about this case often, not because of the fear in it, but because of what it reveals about trust. Sue did nothing wrong. She simply tried to build something good and made the mistake of believing kindness from someone meant safety. There's a lesson in that worth holding on to. Be deliberate about who you let close to your life and your trust, especially when money or obligation is involved. Evil doesn't always look the way we expect. Sometimes it wears a familiar, friendly face for years before showing what it truly is. Sue is safe now. Steve is no longer a threat to her. And though the full truth of what happened to him may never be known, I take comfort in knowing that no matter how long danger waits in the shadows, it cannot outlast the protection placed over those who remain watchful, patient, and willing to ask for help when they need it.